Dear children, we are going to study the best Christmas present in the world. Best is superlative degree of good. Christmas is celebrated by Christians. Present is gift. So in this story, we are going to study about the best Christmas present in the world. Now, before you read, there are some dates or periods of time in the history of the world that are so significant that everyone knows and remembers them. The story you will read mentions one such date and event, a war between the British and the Germans in 1914. Can you guess which war it was? Yes, you can guess. This was the First World War, which was fought during this period. British and Germans are enemies country, and this story tells a lot about this war between British and German soldiers. Now we start the story. A writer of this story tells, I spotted, means I saw it. It is desk, roll top desk, in a junk shop. Junk shop is a shop where second hand things are sold. So writer saw a roll top desk in a junk shop. The man said, mine is the shopkeeper of the junk shop. The man said it was early 19th century and oak. This is the characteristic of the table. Means table was made in 19th century and made of oak wood. I had wanted one, means writer is telling he wanted one table to purchase, but they were too far expensive, means tables were very costly in the market, so he went in the junk shop. This one was in a bad condition, the roll top in several pieces, one leg clumsily mended, means the table which he found, it was badly repaired, scorch marks all down one side. It was going for very little money. I thought I could restore it. The writer thought to repair it, to mend it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man, mine is shopkeeper. Writer paid the cost of table and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve, means 1 or 2 days before the Christmas. Means he started to repair it. I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. It looked like water damage to me. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toil on this desk. Toil is work. This table was destroyed by fire and water, and both have worked on the desk. The last drawer was stuck fast. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. In the end, I used brute force. I struck it sharply with the side of my first fist, and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath a secret drawer. There was something in there. I reached in and took out a small black tin box. You can understand. Writer opened the drawer and he found a small black tin box. Shallow taped to the top of it was a piece of lined note paper and written on it in shaky handwriting, Jim's last letter, received January 25, 1915, to be buried with me when the time comes. It was written on the paper and it was tapped on the black tin box. I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me to open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. It usually does. Inside the box, there was an envelope. The address read Mrs. Jim MacPherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport. Means the name of receiver has been written. That is, receiver is Mrs. Jim MacPherson. Address is 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. This place is there in England. I took out the letter and unfolded it, means opened it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top December 26, 1914. Part 2. Writer started to read the letter. It was written, Dearest Connie. You know, dear, dearer, and dearest. Connie is there for Mrs. Jim MacPherson, means Jim MacPherson has written this letter to his wife, Mrs. Jim MacPherson. He writes, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. It was crisp and quiet all about, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. Writer tells about his own frame of mind, means he was very happy. The morning was very happy. This has been described in this paragraph. He writes again, I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth, I am ashamed to say, is that Fritz began it. Fritz are German soldiers. So you should remember this word, Fritz. The meaning has also been written in the right side. Writer tells the German soldiers began it. What is it? Now we have to know. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out of us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy. Tommy, this is the second word. This word is used for British soldiers. So you should remember this word, and German soldiers told Happy Christmas to British soldiers. They are Tommy. Happy Christmas. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, Same to you, Fritz, same to you. I thought that would be that. We all did, but then suddenly one of them was up there in his great coat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads. Someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fritz up on the parapet, and another. Keep your hands down, I told the men. It is a trick, but it was not. This is very important for you to know. Both the soldiers were Christians. Both of them have to celebrate Christmas. On the other hand, they were fighting each other in the battlefield. But after all, they decided to celebrate Christmas. Now, next paragraph. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have snaps. German ale is known as snaps. That is a drink. That is wine. German wine is known as snaps. We have sausages. Sausage is meat. We meet you. Yes. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Come up, boys. What are we waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. Writer is telling himself officer. Means Mr. Jim MacPherson is a British officer. He tells again, I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another. Grey coats, khaki coats. Grey coats, the word related to German soldiers. Khaki coats are related to British soldiers. Meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. You cannot imagine, dearest, you for Connie or Mrs. Jim MacPherson. So Mr. Jim MacPherson tells to his wife, You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feelings as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer who approached me, means who came me to me, hand out a strays, and he told his name, Hans Wolf. What was the name of the German officer? Hans Wolf. He said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it, I am from Dusseldorf. बंद कर दो. So, the name of the German officer was Hans Wolf, and he told his name when he met to Mr. Jim MacPherson. He told his address of Germany, that is Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. Captain Jim McPherson. I replied. Means Jim McPherson told his name to the German officer. I replied, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. Where is Dorset? Dorset is there in England. Ah, Dorset, he smiled. Means German officer smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces, and we talked, Connie. How we talked. He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in England. His favorite, his favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son, born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere. Means huddle is that is crowd of khaki and grey everywhere. Means all the soldiers came before each other. All over no man's land. Where were they? They were in the no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Hans Ulf and I shared what was left in your wonderful Christmas cake, Connie. He thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. I agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. There was there never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. You can think here. The enemies never agree to each other. But here, the soldiers of British army and German armies agreed on everything. This is written by the Mr. Jim McPherson in his letter to his wife. What is the time? That is Christmas time. That is 25th December. Very holy time in the life of Christian people. Then someone I don't know who brought out a football. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goalposts, and the next things we knew it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. These lines are very important for you to know. The writer is telling about if two countries have any kind of conflict, they can resolve this their conflict by a football match. But war is very bad, in which children become orphaned, wives become widows. These lines are very important for you to know. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning, probably. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie Fritz won 2 goals to 1, but as Hansel generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it was not quite fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished. The snaps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that it was every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Wolf said, take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of coated men drifting back towards their trenches. That night, back in our dugouts are trenches, means dugouts where the soldiers hide themselves. So that night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol. Carol is a religious song which Christians sing on Christmas Day. And singing it quite beautifully. It was still napped, silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while, and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. Long for means wish peace. We shall be together again soon. I am sure of it. Your loving Jim. This is the letter which was written by Jim McPherson to his wife Connie or Mrs. Jim McPherson. The writer told, I dear children, this was uh, this letter was being read by the writer. This letter was found in the old table. After reading the letter, the writer says, I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into the envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport. Can you remember the place Bridgeport? This is the place which was written in the address of the letter when the writer had opened the letter. It was written on the envelope. Bridgeport, just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out cell. The writer reached there and he found the house. It was only a burned out cell, the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of a Mrs. Macpherson. Oh, yes, said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well, a lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle headed. But do you know what is meaning of muddle headed? That is a confused lady because she was very old. That is why every old person becomes muddle headed. So, but at her age, she was entitled to be, was not she? 101 years ago, old. She had been in the house when it caught fire, the man told to the writer. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now. He told me Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of town. The man told the new address of Coney or Mrs. Jim McPherson to the writer. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the halfway, and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. You can remember such kind of decorations are made on Christmas Day. So when the writer reached to the Burlington house, that day was Christmas Day. That was 25th December. I said I was friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. The writer told the people who were living in the Burlington house that he is a friend of Mrs. Jim Macpherson and he has brought a Christmas present for her. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others. She told me she is rather confused today, so we thought it best if she had a good rest. She has no family, no one visits, so I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. The matron said to the writer. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair. Who was she? She was Mrs. Jim Macpherson. The writer is describing the Mrs. Jim Macpherson. Again, you see this paragraph. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. She was gazing out at the garden. Hello, I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. Happy Christmas, Connie. I went on. I found this. I think it is yours. As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. For a while, she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. You told me you had come home by Christmas, dearest, she said, and here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim, dear, sit down. Dear children, you should be clear about this. That Mrs. Jim McPherson, who had a confused head, who has a muddled head, who is 101 years old, thought that the writer is Mr. Jim McPherson. This is very sad. Now, again, the last paragraph you see. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. I read your letter. So often, Jim, every day, I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me. And now you are. Now you are back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. I know how much you love marzipan. Thank you, children. You read this lesson again and again and with understanding, and I think you can understand it. Try to answer the questions which are given in the last of this exercise, last of this lesson. Thank you.